Hey, what's up? Welcome to another Facebook Live. You're here with Dan from Organic Digital, and in today's Facebook Live, we're talking about troubleshooting all things Facebook ads. But first of all, if this is your first time on Facebook Live, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate your attention and for tuning in today, because this is a topic that I often get asked about, is to when ads just aren't performing very well. And when they don't, it sucks. I've learned the hard way with some advertising campaigns out there when they just don't work and you don't know why. So you need to go and have a detailed look at some of these numbers that we're going to go through in today's Facebook Live that could help you at least diagnose a problem or potential problem that's happening with the advertising. But first of all, just want to check that you can all hear me okay. So if you can hit the thumbs up button and just tap the thumbs up button to let me know. Also, if anything resonates with you throughout this Facebook Live, then love to hit that thumbs up button as well. So when it comes to troubleshooting ads, there isn't, unfortunately, any one single factor that will influence every single Facebook advertising campaign, because each one has their own set of variables and things that you need to analyze. So it could be one of any of a number of different things, or it could be a few of these different factors as well. And there are sort of two areas from a troubleshooting perspective that I look at. There are both external and internal factors. And this is, first of all, assuming that you have a good product and a good offer and good Facebook creative as well, advertising creative as well. So we're going to go, this is basically after your ads have been running, potentially, if you've got all those three things dialed in, why they aren't performing. So if you don't get those three right, then you're never going to have good performing ads. So get those right first, and then if they don't work, then come to this troubleshooting section. So the two areas are external. So for external influences, but what I mean by that is really from competition around Facebook. So different times of the year will impact on the prices of the price of Facebook advertising. We're coming into the end of the year and into the holiday season here, where every single advertiser is trying to flog something for the Christmas sales time. Not only every small to medium business, but every large business as well. They put a lot of money into the last quarter of the year. So that's just purely supply demand, and that does drive the price up for certain types of different campaigns and certain industries as well. And that's another big one, is particularly what type of industry you're in at what time of the year may impact that as well. Maybe Christmas isn't a busy time of the year. It might be some other time of the year. So you need to take that in consideration, that often competition is one of the biggest impacts on the price that it's costing you to get results. Not only that, as far as the time of year, and I know I mentioned Christmas before, but one to actually look at is the end of each quarter of the year. And I saw this in the last quarter three, rather, it would have been, towards the end of September. When a lot of the big advertisers out there and big advertising agencies, they're given a quarterly budget to use, and often the agencies out there get towards the end of a quarter and they're like, crap, we haven't spent all the budget for this quarter. So they actually dump a whole heap of money in that last couple of weeks, sometimes last month, to basically spend that budget, so then they can get back to zero and get the client to then input more money for the next quarter as well. So I saw this in across a couple of clients that just the last week of September, freaking out, price of acquisition going through the roof, what the hell's happening? Then as soon as it ticked over to first week of October, it was just back to normal again. So I can't say for sure, and that's the thing. you'll never be able to know how much money is in the Facebook pool of advertising then and there, and they don't tell you what other people are bidding as well. They aren't transparent around that, so you just need to assume that there also are some external influences like this as well. Speaking of the bid amount as well, bidding and manual bidding is becoming a big topic and a big tactic in Facebook advertising these days. So if you do use a manual bidding option, or even if you do use an automatic bidding option out there, external influences such as people outbidding you can impact on your reach and your performance as well. So you need, and again, that's just external competition, and that's separate, I guess, to more money coming into the pool. It's people just willing to spend more on acquiring whatever that acquisition is or objective that you're trying to get at the end of it. So they're more the external side of things to consider. Not necessarily first, but certainly things to consider. What I first look at when I'm trying to diagnose issues with advertising, more of the internal side of things. So, like I said, quality of the ads and the product is paramount, just to make sure that it is actually relevant. But then jumping into Ads Manager and into the ads reporting, and there are some key numbers that I look at that will help give me an indication on how they're performing. So some of the main ones I look at, the first one I generally look at is frequency, and particularly if I've been running ads for a while. Frequency is basically gives you the amount of times that an individual on average has seen your advertisements. So if you've been advertising for a while, or if you've only got a small audience that you're targeting or you're retargeting, then often they can get what's called ad fatigue, where basically they just see the same ad in their feed all the time. They just end up ignoring and scrolling past it. So frequency is one of the first numbers that I look at. And as far as a benchmark, once that sort of gets up around the 3 to 4 mark and they're starting to see the same ad 3 or 4 times in their feed, then it's time for me to either do a couple of things to refresh the creative, or duplicate that ad set and either broaden, expand, or change the audience. So it's not the same people consistently seeing my ads. Because that will then drive down the next metric, which is called relevancy. So Facebook have this metric in their ad reporting, and it's just at the ads level. It'll show you, it's basically a score from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, where 10 is the most, the advertisements, the advertisement is relevant to the audience that you're actually targeting. And when I say advertisement, it isn't just the creative in the ads or the video or whatever it is, it's also the landing page and the objective that you've got for your campaign is relevant to that audience as well. So if that relevancy is starting to drop, and if it's starting to drop probably below sort of the 5 to 6 mark, or probably below the 7 mark, then that tells me that my audience targeting is off. So really important if you're going out to a cold audience initially and you're testing different audiences. This is often a good little metric that can tell you whether or not your ads are likely to get that audience to perform the objective that you're trying to target them for. So that's the next one that I look at. There's also another metric that to get to some of these metrics, you'll also need to hit the drop-down menu under the defaults to performance and clicks. If you hit that drop-down and then go down to customize columns, there's a whole bunch of different metrics that you can search and you can add into the columns, and you can customize those columns just to give you the numbers that you're looking for. So one of these that you won't find in those standard reports is called feedback. And there's basically positive and negative feedback, and there's 3 different parameters as low, medium, and high. So they don't really expand too much on it, but the differences that in between those two, positive is obviously a good thing, and positive is obviously if it's a high positive feedback, and Facebook rate this based on the likelihood that audience is going to perform the action that you want them to. So it's sort of similar to that relevancy number, I guess, but the one I actually pay more attention to is the negative feedback. And negative feedback is triggered by things like people hiding your advertisement, marking your ads as spam or irrelevant to them. And, these often go hand in hand with, frequency. When people start seeing the ad too much, they're like, get out of my news feed. That will trigger negative feedback. And as that gets higher, then that will also drop the relevancy. And you also need to consider with all of these things that if the numbers aren't performing where they should be, that the price or the costs that you're paying will be higher as well. So they're the relevancy, frequency, feedback will give me feedback on how the ads are performing to that particular audience. Some other numbers that I actually look at as well, if I'm driving traffic to a website, and it will default to link clicks, and that's any clicks off of Facebook. But often for a number of different factors, they won't actually end up getting through to your website. Maybe they get distracted, they don't wait for your site to load, or I don't know, they're distracted by something basically, and they don't get there in the end. Facebook will still actually count that as a link click, but they've got this other metric called landing page views. And basically what landing page views when they actually get through to that landing page, then a pixel will trigger and it will say, yes, they've actually got through to the landing page. So have a look at the comparison of how many link clicks you've got and how many landing page views you've got. So that will also tell you if, and you can then take that feedback to say, well, either one, they're not getting there, or two, if they're quite similar and they are getting there, then maybe there is something wrong with my website or the landing page that they're at that isn't converting them from that perspective. So that will help you diagnose whether it's the ad creative or whether it's actually where they're going through to as well. Another metric you can use to help you track how that landing page is performing is if you have certain standard events set up that are triggered along that purchase journey. So if, for instance, you're an e-commerce store or something like that, if they get certain ways through the customer journey, and you can actually set these up in the custom columns to see how many views of content you've got, how many adds to cart you've had, how many initiate checkouts, and then how many purchases. And if you can see a sharp drop off somewhere along there, then maybe it's something that stands out. Maybe, like I know there is a high, it's probably as high as it's ever been, the drop off from adding to cart through to purchase. So it may be something that's just industry standard, but it could also be something with your website that they're not adding to cart for some reason. And if they're not adding to cart but they're viewing it a lot, then maybe it's something on the product page that you need to improve. Likewise, if you're just looking for leads or registrations and they're getting through to that landing page, maybe I don't know whether you've got any other events that may be triggered between when they land and when they give you their details, but you can see if they do land and if they don't give you their details, maybe it's a landing page. So all of these are trying to give you some indications, and like I said, there won't be one single thing that will affect all ads or that is just affecting your ads. It may be a combination of these different things, and it just goes back to maybe testing something else. So if it is a landing page sort of thing, testing, maybe you're duplicating the same ad, but you're doing some A/B testing on your landing page, and you can duplicate that landing page, send them to another link, and then compare whether or not one landing page performs better than the other, and then that may help diagnose if it's a website option or whether it's just a creative option as well. So look, they're the first numbers that I look at, and that gives me enough feedback then that I can generally go and find something that's either wrong with the ads or a reason why they may not perform as well as they are, and I make those changes. But again, as always, when you're making changes, you need to give Facebook time to adjust and their algorithm time to get some data in to then try and get the objective. I've just completely lost my train of thought. To then go and get you the objective or the action that you want to perform, so they can go and get it for you at the lowest price possible. So that does take time, and look, when you aren't seeing your ads performing as well as you like, the best thing you can do firstly is just don't overreact. Look, it is stressful. I get it when you see money go out the door and not enough money coming back. But you just need to be working harder and keeping an eye on things, on how they're going. We've done a Facebook Live last week on good habits for Facebook advertisers and how you can better improve your systems and reporting processes, so you are monitoring things over time and changes that you do make, so then you can get some feedback on how that has actually made a difference to your overall campaign performance as well. So look, Facebook ads won't always work initially, but when they do, it's really rewarding, particularly if you've got a campaign that bombed initially and you've worked really hard to get that campaign working well. It's actually really rewarding, and it's almost it's probably not a better feeling because it's a lot of stress that goes in it initially, but you just need to be patient with it, unfortunately. Like I said, don't overreact. Work hard to get them going, and once you find out what works, do more of that. So I hope today's troubleshooting ads Facebook Live you've got something out of. As always, if you've enjoyed it, I'd love you to, one, hit the thumbs up icon, or two, share it with someone that you think would be relevant, or tag them in the comments. I'd love to chat to you there. I'll also put any resources and links that you can find out some more information, as well as to other Facebook Lives, in the comments, so you can continue watching. But if you've got any feedback, I'd love to hear from you. Again, it's bye for now. Okay.